Hello friends, it's time to paint the fox. We're going to paint Kevin the Fox. I'm just going to I'm holding up my brushes one at a time to show them to you, but I'm missing the camera and a lot of them. I will list the brushes I use on the website, on the YouTube description. They're my usual brushes. If I can see them. They're my usual Dainayu, sable rounds, numbers 1, 6, and 12. That one there is a fur brush or a wisp brush. Sorry about the whistle when I talk. I have new teeth and they whistle, it annoys me. So also I held up my newly cleaned my water bin that I use. It has 2 compartments in it, the little ridges on the bottom, and they collect crud. And I figured out how to clean it, which was to use my water pick on a high speed. And it's like sandblasting. Cleaned it up real nice. Okay, so the first thing I'm doing is wetting around the fox. And I'm trying to go over the edges a little because I want the paint to spread and get that nice fluffy effect. I'm intentionally not going over the eyes, but in this case it doesn't really matter. So I'm just getting it wet, and then I look at it from a different angle so I can see where it's wet and where it's not. Because sometimes you miss and you can't really see it looking straight on. I don't know why I was showing off my hand. But I'm going to keep going back until I have everything covered that I want. Now I'm spraying down my palette because I use dry pan paints. And spraying them with water helps them reconstitute. Makes it easier to pick up a lot of good color. So now, where I missed and did get the eyes a little wet, I just mopped it up a little with the tissue. And now I'm seeing where I missed some spots. So going over those spots with water. And then I will add color once it's wet. Now I did something I'm not really happy with on this painting. I used, the fox is a really vibrant, kind of a gold, goldish, light brown color, and my most vibrant gold color I have is quinacridone gold. And I'm not really liking it in this painting. One thing about quinacridone gold is it's a very staining color, which means once it's on there, I can't just pick it up. And it also doesn't have the nice granulation effect that I like when I'm painting animals. So, but I wanted the vibrancy, so that's what I did. Anyway, most things can be fixed once it dries with a damp magic eraser, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm just painting around the areas where it's gold with the gold, obviously. This fox is special because the coloration is kind of unique. Okay, there's the gold. There's the quinacridone gold. That first color was raw sienna. And now you can see just how vibrant that quinacridone gold is. It's okay. I'm painting this just, from knowledge in my head. I traced it, and now I'm just kind of playing with the colors. I do have a lot of experience with colors, so I mean, I'm not just totally guessing randomly, and colors in my palette are colors I use most of the time anyway. So feel free to use the raw umber, or not the raw umber, the raw sienna. I can't keep my siennas and umbers and raws and burnt straight. Now I'm going to raw umber. So, Queen Gold and then raw umber. And I'm kind of putting it on, wiping it off, putting it on, wiping it off. And eventually I will scrub it with a scrubber brush and then let it dry and buff it a little bit with a magic eraser, and that will give the nice fur texture. And now I'm doing the the legs. I really can't tell from the reference photo what the heck is going on with that fox's left hind leg. It's kind of, he's sitting on it, but anyway, I'm painting it now, and I'll figure it out when I do the finishing touches. I'll probably just paint some fluffy fur over the top of it and try to fade it out a little, because I really can't see. I can't really see what that leg is doing. So just kind of letting that paint spread out. That's a nice granulating color, so it'll look like fluffy fur, and it'll spread out nice. Like I said, I'm kind of getting some of the markings in to start with here, and I tend to work in layers. So I'll put a layer down, and sometimes it's just so that it reinforces the pencil markings that are already there. I'm kind of dabbing with the brush and painting backwards and trying to get a little bit of a textured effect that shows kind of the hairs or the fur, or the fluffiness of the fur. But really the magic happens, after a few layers of dabbing on it. It starts to get more texture to it. Dabbing on the raw umber in the darker places on the legs. It's actually more, the legs are actually more of kind of a dark purpley color. So I'll get to that. I'll build up the layers with some different colors. For now, I'm going for the dark brown. The legs have almost like a light blue gray on the highlights. So I'll be using really dilute neutral tint for the light parts of the legs. Okay, now I'm actually using, that one is Shadow Violet, which is a Daniel Smith color that is a mix, and it's like the name says, it's for using in shadows, but it's also just kind of a nice grayish purple color, which is what I'm seeing in the reference photo. So that's what I'm using. I realize at this point that face kind of looks like a possum and not a fox. Well, we'll sort that out later when the details go on. I'm just doing the first layers. People talk about how paintings have to go through an ugly stage. We're getting there. It's pretty ugly right now. Definitely looks more like some kind of rodent or a mouse or a rat or something than a fox at this point. And it will keep looking like that for a while I mess with it and build up the layers, and that's just kind of have to trust the process, as they say, and most things can be lifted out and fixed. And if not, it's a piece of paper, and I can do it again. I can do it several times and probably skip the quinacridone gold in the next try. But I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe just be more careful and not paint the quin gold where it's more gray. I'm kind of abusing my brush. I do that. Kind of trying for kind of a dry brush effect. Painting backwards, trying to get those lines, those little hairs. Jabbing in some of the darker color. I'll be scrubbing that back later, and then adding more and scrubbing it back to get that furry, fluffy effect. I'm alternating between the raw umber, shadow violet, and neutral tint is the darkest color I'm using there. And like I said, I don't know what's going on with that leg. Now I'm just putting color down, and I'll sort out which legs go where at the end. The brush is my number 6 round Dynayu sable brush. These brushes are incredibly good for the price. I'm really a cheapskate. I shop around and try different things, but these are for the set of 3 brushes. I believe they're $39 at Amazon. You can also get the sets on AliExpress for about the same. They're Kolinsky Sable. Kolinsky Sable has a nice snap to it, so I was painting pretty much with squirrel mop brushes for a while, but squirrel hair is really floppy and soft. But the advantage of natural hair is that it holds a lot more water than synthetic brushes. So, and it's all a personal preference. I mean, if you don't want to use animal hair, um, there are nylon brushes that are actually, they're comparable, but nylon isn't going to hold near as much water as a natural hairbrush. That's just kind of how it is. And when you use the nylon brushes, there's the issue of like microplastics and that versus rodents, using rodent hair basically. I guess I'm not that sympathetic to rodents and squirrels. Okay, now I'm putting in a little bit more reddish brown, and that is burnt umber. I will list all of the paints I use and the brushes on the YouTube description. Just scrubbing at it with the brush. I'm using my smaller diameter brush, my number 1 Kolinsky Sable Dynayu brand brush. Painting in the nose holes first so that I don't lose them. Normally I paint from light to dark, but with the nose holes, if I paint the nose color on first, then I can't see the nose holes, so those go on first. I am using black. Trying to remember which lamp black. I believe it's lamp black, which is very granulating, nice black. A small brush, detail brush to paint in the eyes and leave some white spots for the highlights. Don't worry if you miss and you accidentally paint the pupil solid black, because at the end you can go back with a gel pen or a Posca pen and put the white highlights back in. Putting some more of the gold in the eyes. The eyes are kind of a bright gold. Using quinacridone gold in the first layer, and then I'm going to put in some burnt sienna, which is a reddish brown color. And eyes are usually darker at the top. So I add in more color at the top, leave the bottoms light. That makes them look realistic. And I let the colors just kind of spread and mingle together on the paper. Okay, some of the ear detail with the burnt sienna. Still looks like a rat to me, but start to see a little bit of three-dimensional animal there. Now I could, on these where I'm trying to get the fine hair effect in, I could grab my wisp brush, which has like separate hairs in it, and it's made to paint fur. But I have a tendency to keep painting with whatever's in my hand and just use it. Do what I can until I absolutely need a different brush. I'm painting the nose in neutral tint. Shadow violet or moon glow are good nose colors too. Didn't get any paint on my brush there. So, dip the brush back in. Now I'm using my wisp brush. can see it gives a nice fur effect. You can also see it's a synthetic brush and it doesn't hold nearly as much liquid as my natural hair brushes. So I have to keep dipping it in water and dipping it back in the paint. I try to be kind of random when I paint the fur, because fur is kind of random. If you make all the little hairs uniform, it won't look natural. I'm letting the paint just mix for a minute, but I'll go back and scrub that out. Contemplating that back leg there that just looks, I don't know, doesn't look right. Mutant fox leg. Just staring at it to try to decide what to do next. Okay, now I've got my scrubber brush and I'm going to scrub it up. Try to lighten some of the darker spots where I kind of overdid. And mess up those hairlines a little bit, make them look more natural. And he's starting to look more like a fox. It takes a bit of scrubbing to get things to really look fluffy and natural. And once I'm done with putting these different colors on, I will let it dry, and then I will take a damp magic eraser type sponge. It doesn't have to be brand name. I bought a case of, I think, 50 generic magic eraser sponges. And what's cool about them is you can actually like clean your house with them if you don't use them all painting. And they are magic. No one told me in my live painting classes how well a magic eraser works on paint. Just have to go very lightly because it will erase your paint down to the white paper. Except for that gold, which is a staining color, and it's probably stained all the way through. that leg. Just, that back leg, I don't know. Mostly I'm going to make it disappear with a lot of fluff around its ruff. Try to cover a big chunk of that back leg. That looks so deformed. Okay, now I'm trying to get it to more of a grayish color, like the actual color of the fox. Scrubbing in some grays over the gold. I'm trying to bring back some of the white. And the scrub brush isn't going to do it, so at the beginning of the next video I will take the magic eraser and lighten some of that up and then put the darker details on, like around the ears and in the shadows, and figure out what to do with that leg. Just kind of scrubbing some gray around the edge of the tail. And that's pretty much it for this video, and I will see you in the next one where we fix the issues and finish it up.